Hi, and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I'm Kibin Alleyne, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up, the Future Now Media Foundation aims to rebuild and mold future leaders in the world of media and entertainment. The foundation hosts various events and a conference to help people kick off or grow into their careers. Joining me to tell us more is Margaret Peggy Kim, the founder and CEO of the Future Now Media Foundation. What was the inspiration behind creating the Future Now Media Foundation? Then BronxNet has been selected to partner with Creatives Rebuild New York for their CRNY Artist Employment Program. We are joined by two artists who are working with BronxNet to make their project Quick to Rock come alive. What is the Quick to Rock project all about? After that, our BronxNet reporting team has been hard at work to cover various events around the Bronx. We'll take a look at some of the wonderful packages our team has put together for you. What were some events you may have missed? And finally, on November 16th, the Senate voted on a bill that would open up a debate that would codify federal protections for same-sex marriage. The director of Academic Enrichment for Destination Tomorrow joins me later to discuss this bill. How does codifying same-sex marriage on a federal protection help the LGBTQ plus community? So stay tuned. All of this and much more is headed your way because we're now officially open. Hello, everyone. I'm Kibin Alleyne. Today is Tuesday, November 29th, and you are now watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. Don't forget to stay connected with us via social media at BronxNet TV. With a mission to build leaders in the industry, the Future Now Media Foundation will host its annual Media and Entertainment Conference. The conference is just one of several methods Future Now uses to prepare future content creators, storytellers, journalists, and creative artists. Founder and CEO Margaret Peggy Kim joins me now to discuss their mission. Margaret, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Kevin. It's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, we were just talking a little bit, and I was just saying how much, I think this is an amazing organization. Could you just tell everyone a little bit more about Future Now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We've been around since 2017, and our mission is to build future leaders coming into the industry of media and entertainment and in the content business as well as the technology sides of the industry. And so the mission is really, we work primarily with college age students, 18 to 24, although we have some, older students also coming in because they go back for their graduate degrees and what have you, or continuing their education. So all of those folks are welcome to participate in our programming. And we do the conference, as you mentioned, and other programming throughout the year, leadership talks, workshops, speed mentoring sessions, meet the recruiters events, and so on.
Now, as CEO and founder, can you talk about your journey in the media industry?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say it out loud and say it proudly. To say that I've been in the industry for 30 years, and just that number just really kind of, it's kind of like, whoa, really? I've been here for 30 years in this industry, but I have loved every minute of it. It has been, not without its ups and downs, but I came up through news and documentary programming. I worked for major media companies, ABC News, CBS News, NBC Sports, ABC Sports, NBC Olympic Unit, and MSNBC. And then I was a programming and production executive at History Channel for many years. And so while at History Channel, I was on the other side of the desk, actually green lighting projects and produced over 300 hours of documentary nonfiction programming and series.
Now,
And just had a wonderful time. Yeah.
now since
So
you
that's how I came up through the industry. And then you're probably going to ask about Future Now and how I got to doing that. So, throughout that 30-year career, just like you were saying at the beginning, I wish I had something like this when I was starting out. That's really why I did this. It's very personal to me because, when I started out in my career, we didn't have mentors. I didn't have mentors. Nobody told me how to do, what my responsibilities were in the first job that I had, which was at ABC News. No one was training me. I
Right.
really had to just figure it all out on my own. And, I'm someone who learns through observation and through, um, really, I'm a student of observation. I really learn by watching others, and I crave, I've always craved someone just please take me under your wing and show me the way.
I'm so
And
glad that you mentioned that because I want to point out that there is a focus on, mentorship and training,
yeah.
and also just making these connections. Can you just explain how does this help you fulfill the organization's mission?
Well, I mean, so like I said, I didn't have those connections when I was coming up. And so over the last, I would say 10 years at this point, I was building my other company called I Stand TV, and I was taking on interns over the summers. And I was mentoring them, I was teaching them about the business, all these things that you don't really learn in school.
Right.
And so what's the process? How does something get greenlit? How do storytelling? What is that process? Scripting to, so pre-production, production, post-production, all of those things, storytelling. And then I also opened up my professional network to my students and set them up on meetings with my colleagues in the industry. And so, I was giving them all the things that I felt like they needed that I did not also have when I was coming up. And so all of the programming that we do at Future Now is really centered around. I'm so sorry. My dog is barking up a storm. But so we do mentorship because that's a really critical component. It's so helpful, so that you're not just kind of lost trying to figure it out on your own and taking a lot of time trying to do that. When you have mentors, you have people who can just kind of create some shortcuts for you, and that's my goal. Like at this point in my career, I've had a wonderful career as a producer. I continue to produce, I continue to write, I continue to direct, but my heart is really for the mission of this organization, which is to leverage all of my relationships, all of my learning, all of my experience, my professional network, and help bring up the next generations of young people coming into the industry. These are our future leaders. And so even, we haven't touched on this yet, but diversity.
Right.
I've been on diversity business councils. We see the articles and Oscar's so white and, all of these things. And I'm like, you know what? It's time to stop talking about the problem. It's time to solve the problem.
Right.
So really the point of Future Now is trying to help solve for some of those issues of recruiting for more diverse candidates, to opening up that talent pool, and helping that talent pool also to be trained up and ready to enter that workforce so that they can be effective future leaders and also advance through the ranks, not just get stuck in that kind of middle level management, but able to really break through, hit the board, be on boards and be at the CEO levels and so on and so forth.
Now,
So
I really want to touch on the Future Now Media and Entertainment Conference. I think this is like a really cool, just a really cool moment for a lot of young people and people who want to be in this industry to kind of all come together. So, can you actually talk about that conference?
yeah, absolutely. So Future Now really started with that conference. That was the very first thing that we did. So the conference was my attempt to take that microcosm of an experience of, taking 4 interns over a summer, opening up my network to them, training them, mentoring them, doing workshops with them, helping them to learn about the industry, the breadth of opportunities in the industry. And it was really in the moment of doing the summer internships and, wow, the impact on these interns over the course of an 8-week summer internship and where they started and where they ended up it's like night and day. And I just saw incredible growth. And then on the flip side of it, my colleagues who I'd sent them to have these meetings, my colleagues came to me and said, "Thank you so much for sending them to me, because you reminded me what's important." And one particular friend at HBO, she had, she took them for 2 hours, and took them around, spent quality time with them, and then she sent me an email before I even had a chance to send her an email to thank her for taking them.
Mm-hmm.
She sent an email to me to thank me for sending them to her, because she felt so encouraged and she felt so uplifted. And it hadn't even occurred to me the reverse benefit of that. And so really the conference was, how do I take this microcosm of an experience during a course of a summer and massively multiply it, so that we are impacting more people from the industry. We're impacting the industry itself, my colleagues, but also impacting more students, so that everybody wins. And so the conference has grown over the last 6 years. We're now planning the 7th year. We've had folks like Tina Fey coming in to speak at our conference, Saniqua Martin Green, which she's so amazing. But Saniqua also, she is on that Paramount Plus Star Trek Discovery. She's the lead actor of that cast, amazing cast. And to have folks like that, who are, world famous, like entertainers, but also, top level executives, and also mid-level managers, as well as those who are just starting out in their career. Everybody in the room learning from each other is incredibly powerful.
Now,
And so
I want to
yeah,
just interject and talk about the conference a little bit more. I know that the next one is taking place May 31st, or it
mhm,
starts May 31st. Can you just talk
yeah.
about that a little bit more, just so people can know how they can possibly get involved?
Yes. So the conference, you have to apply to attend the conference. And if you go to futurenowmediafoundation.org and go to the conference tab on the menu, it will take you to that page so that you can learn more about the conference. You can see last year's, 2022's agenda and who was there. You can click on headshots and get their bios. You can see what the programming was. It will be very similar. We'll have different people and some of the returning folks from this year's conference in past years, but also new people coming into the conference. It happens over a period of 3 days. It has been virtual for the last 3 years, but students from all over the country, and here in New York as well, apply, they get accepted to attend, and then they have this incredible experience and the ability to connect and make meaningful connections with folks from the industry, be a part of community, get mentorship, meet with recruiters so that you can connect to internships and jobs. So these are opportunities that would be otherwise so difficult,
Right.
and you don't even know where do you begin. Future Now is where you begin. This is why we are here. We are here to help serve and help, on ramp you, help you bring community, learn, teach, make your mistakes, ask your questions. This is a safe zone
Now,
for
I want to
learning.
quickly talk. We just have about a minute or so left. I know that you on December 7th, you have something called Leadership Talks. Can you just talk
Yep.
about that a little bit more?
Yes. So this December 7th, we have our leadership talk from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. Again, it's free to students, it's free to alumni. Our guest, as you see there, is Allison Levin. She is the Vice President of Ad Revenue and Marketing Solutions at Roku, which is one of the top tech companies in media today. She is a mover and a shaker, and she is passionate about mentorship. She's passionate also about especially helping women and other women coming into the tech side and the media tech side of the business. But we're gonna do, just like you're doing with me today. We're gonna do a talk, and I'm gonna be interviewing her, and then we take questions from the audience, and then the audience also has the ability to connect with her post session via LinkedIn and start to build that relationship with her. So yeah, everyone's welcome to come. It's virtual. Just register. You will find that information also on the Future Now site.
All right, Margaret, thank you so much, for joining us and talking about this. As I mentioned, I love this. So I know that there are just going to be so many people who are going to enjoy this segment. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it, Kibin.
For more information on Future Now Media, please go to their website at futurenowmediafoundation.org and follow them on social media at FutureNowMF. We'll be right back after this.
COVID-19 has changed how we spend weekends with the girls. Now it's time to take the first step that lets us get back to brunching instead of late night munching. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts. As COVID-19 vaccines become available, you may have questions.
Should I get it? Is it safe? Should I wait?
It's okay to have questions. Now get the facts at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you.
Fostering a pet for a friend or neighbor can keep families together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Jason, let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner!
Go. Excellent. Sorry for yourself. Yeah, I saw you guys out there. We're in the room.
Welcome back. Creative Rebuilds New York is a program aimed towards shining light on local artists. Through the CRNY Artist Employment Program, 300 artists will work in collaboration with community-based organizations, and BronxNet is proud to be one of these organizations. The artists joining me to discuss their work today are Rokafella and Kwikstep, president of Full Circle Production, Inc. I want to thank you both so much for joining me.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah,
I'm doing good. How are you?
All right.
excited to be back at BronxNet. You know,
right.
we're part of the family now, so
Right.
Yeah.
it feels good.
Now, I want to just start off by talking about hip hop because I know that's like a huge part of your craft. You know, can you just let everybody know, about the moment you began your love for hip hop? And Rockefeller, we'll start with you.
Oh, well, I grew up in East Harlem, so it was all around me as I was growing up. And I was a spectator at first, but I was really absorbing and just taking it all in. You know, I have a family that is Afro-Caribbean, Latino, so I had that in the apartment. But as soon as I would step outside in Harlem, it was this feeling, this vibe, dancing, music, art. And so in time, I was going to manifest it. So it finally came through, I would say probably like 13, 15, 17 years of age. That's when it started to be my expression,
And for you?
The rumbling started early, at an early age, before hip hop was called hip hop. Watching Soul Train, Stevie Wonder being played in the basement party, Fania All Stars in the living room, all of the holiday parties, block parties, park jams. And then, like playing basketball in the street, I was watching breaking in the streets as well, and I was like, what is that? And I knew it was something special. Couldn't put my finger on it, but my soul was all in it. Watching the graph on the subways as a child, you watch these subway cars pull in and these, cartoon trains open up and you walk into it and you see all of this writing on the trains. You're like, yo, what is this? And as you start to get informed as to what this is, writers, breakers, DJs, MCs, you start to understand that you're a part of a ride that's going to be a lifetime. And that was my journey into hip hop.
That's amazing. And I love how they're both like, very cultural. And it's just something that you grew up with. Like it wasn't forced. Like it was just something that naturally happened. Now, I'm really curious to know, can you just talk about how you got involved with the CRNY program? And we could start with you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've always been connected with BronxNet. So whenever Full Circle, our dance company, or in my individual personal dance career, something's coming up, I quickly want to see if I can come onto an open or, a show with Axel or whoever and talk about it, promote it, and kind of unpack it for people because dancers don't always get to speak. We speak with our bodies, but, being able to unpack it, describe it, define it, is a beautiful thing because it gives people that inside glance to the world of dance. And so I was always kind of connected to BronxNet. We did a Full Circle show in 1999.
Right.
I don't know what you were doing in 99. We were dancing. And Michael Nabi and, props to you, came through with a camera crew and captured that performance in 1999. And since then, I've been connected. So when this opportunity came up for CRNY AEP, they asked me if I had an idea, and I was like, oh, yes, I have an idea. We've had this idea for a while,
years, yeah.
right? So we were like, if we can apply. And so I did apply. I put down a proposal of an idea and then had the interview, and lo and behold, I was chosen, and we've been now working on how to create this variety show.
Now, I would actually like to talk a little bit more about it. So can you talk about your project, Quick to Rock? And we'll start with you.
So Quick to Rock is literally about people who are quick to rock on the scene, whether it's on the floor, the mic, graph, turntables, but also outside of that. Because, hip hop, it's about, entrepreneurs and people who've made it. When you're in hip hop from a cultural sense, you are a producer from the ground level. If you're a breaker, you got to get your crew together. You got to get a place to practice. You got to choreograph the show. DJs, you got to buy equipment. You got to raise money. MCing, same thing, right? So you got to figure out where your show is going to be. So it's about you doing it yourself. And then that prepares you for everything else in life that you have to produce for. So hip hop really, it has come full circle. Ever since I was a kid, when I saw talk show hosts, I was like, maybe one day we'll be in that position to represent our people. And here we are, we have Kwikstep and Rokafella, and we're always quick to rock the ciphers. And that has made us quick to rock anything that has been put in front of us. And so we figured that would be a really good talk show. And we want to, highlight people who've been quick to rock for years, and especially from the Bronx to across the world. So I always say it, from around the block to around the world.
That's amazing. And would you like to add anything just to the idea of the beginnings of Quick to Rock?
Well, the beginnings of Quick to Rock, it predates the CRNY. So we've been using that hashtag whenever we come up with a project or a performance. And so Quick to Rock is really like the blending of these two worlds, male, female energy in hip hop. We've been married now for 20 years because, we're 21. But, and so it's just trying to highlight and feature the synergy, that can happen, the partnership and the loyalty and, struggling and, being that ride or die in hip hop. And so Quick to Rock predates the show, but we wanted to name it that because we are co-hosting. We are the ones out there trying to invite the people that we see in our network and our community in the underground, invite them in, feature them, ask them, how can people be in touch with you? How can we support? And try to uplift the work that goes on that isn't always in front of the cameras. Because we always get to see like the stars. But there's some like local stars and they're shining just as bright, doing some serious work. And so that's what Quick to Rock is about. It definitely is uplifting the artists, but locally and culturally strengthening them, reaffirming them. And then these episodes will be sort of like a reference, a historical time capsule. Who was doing what at this time?
That's right.
And been doing it or now up and coming doing it, so that people who are studying hip hop in college or whatever globally, there's an episode you can watch and you can find out the behind the scenes stuff for Melly Mel or Grand Wizard Theodore or Violeta Galagarza.
And
what are they doing?
I want to add that I love that it's kind of like almost educational in a way. And I definitely want to dig a little bit more in just to talking about hip hop as a genre. But for now, I know that you recently, filmed part of your project here at Lehman Studios. Can you just talk about that experience?
Nerve-wracking. Right
In a good way.
Right before you film, and then you start to film and you're in it. And before you know it, it's over. It goes by really fast. But to watch the guests light up, knowing that they're being filmed and being, you know, taken care of as far as being interviewed for what they are really about and what they really stand for. And like Rock said, that's going to be forever on film. And people are going to be able to look back and be like, you know, what was happening in 2022 after the pandemic, post-pandemic? People were still rocking. People were still rocking in the Bronx. When the pandemic was happening, people were like, I got to do what I got to do. People were rocking outside. And so for me, it came back full circle. What I saw in the 70s and the 80s was taking place in 2021, 2022, right in the streets. And now we're here in the studio to, you know, inform people we're still here. And I think that is really important. And the people from the Bronx are very prideful in what they have created. And to me, what I tell people all the time, hip hop is to New York what Kung Fu is to China. We're still in the first 50 years. Next year will be 50 years of hip hop. And that's really important. So it's only right that Quick to Rock are going to be rocking in the 50th year of hip hop. I'm going to have all of these guests that are going to be, you know, exposed to the world and let people know that we out here.
Now, I think, could you just talk about, you know, the website and how people can actually support this project?
Right. Well, the CRNY funding helps only so far, you know, and it also helps BronxNet. But this type of a program is going to incur other expenses. And we want to treat our artists right. We want to make sure that everybody's taken care of. So there are some other things we definitely need some funding. So if you go to the BronxNet website and you look up Quick to Rock, the link is there. You can make a small donation and help us to help the community to see itself on screen and to look back. There will always be a chance to reflect on who was doing what. So it is educational, but it's also entertaining. And it's just, again, a moment in time that is precious because, you know, life is it goes so fast. Time is flying. So it's good to capture at this moment and be able to reflect on the greatness of the Bronx, of the boroughs, New York City, beyond. You know, we will be interviewing people from the international hip hop global family as well. Right. But we definitely want to uplift ours first. So yeah, you can help us out by making a small donation.
Now, I really want to talk about, you know, this mission to keep the legacy of hip hop alive. You know, I've done a few stories on it myself and how hip hop has globally has changed, or in the mainstream has changed a lot. You know, can you just explain why it's so important for both of you to kind of keep that core, you know, Bronx roots hip hop alive?
Well, it's Bronx roots. It's Brooklyn roots. It's, you know, it's how we fell in love. You know, it's because of hip hop that I found the woman of my life.
And vice versa.
And, you know, hip hop was my first love, but this is the love that has kept me afloat. And she's literally my rock. You know what I mean? When things are rough, hang on to that rock. You know what I mean? And, you know, with like fire and water, and hip hop teaches you how to mix and remix.
Right.
And that's, you know, I've learned a lot through being married and being in hip hop, believe it or not, because hip hop culture is different from hip pop culture. That's for consumption, but it ends up consuming you as a person. Culturally, you can always go back to the source and replenish. You know, it's like being a Marvel superhero. It's like, oh, I got beat up by life. I got to go back into the chamber. Hip hop, I'm back. And I think it's important that people realize that's what hip hop is about. It's about being replenished. It's about hip. It's about knowing. Hop is a movement, like Harris once said. And it changes at the speed of need. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's faster than the speed of light. Within a millisecond, you're like, oh, I got to do this. And, you know, when you're in the streets with hip hop, it teaches you how to bob and weave. And, you know, you get knocked down, you have to get back up. And we've been there for each other when we got knocked down. And this is the representation of what hip hop and love really is. Not what you see on TV, but what you feel and witness in real life. And we've been there for each other, and that's allowed us to be there for other people. And when we're down, the community is there for us. I mean, to me, that's what hip hop is.
Yeah, and globally, we know that the community that picks up hip hop is the community that's struggling. It's the community that's marginalized. So they have become inspired by what happened here. That, you know, Blacks and Latinos, we were going through something, we came together and look what we created. And so our slang, our fashion, our business savviness, our intellect, our spirituality, the creativity, all around the world, they're all like following our lead. And so we have to lead with love and lead, you know, correctly and responsibly. So because Kwikstep and I were around when breaking in particular went through a small little like underground dark period, you know, no one was doing it because it wasn't like commercially viable anymore, quote unquote, we know that we have to preserve it. We cannot just let it just fizzle out. It's a massive vocabulary within hip hop, and we can't just let it be used and exploited. It is deep, and it has a lineage and a legacy that goes back to capoeira, Lindy hop, and tap, salsa, like you said, kung fu. There are all these ingredients that make hip hop what it is, and we want to make sure that people remember.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both so much, just for coming here and sharing this story. I think it's amazing.
Thank you.
And I just want to let everybody know, don't forget that if you would like to support the Quick to Rock project, please go to BronxNet.org/donate/CRNY-artists. Don't go away. We have more open right after this.
STEM is everywhere. Like here, behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with trisodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that can be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker boards.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at shecanstem.com.
Man, it's lonely. Like, going through life lonely.
There is the therapeutic aspect of music, just expressing how you feel. I'm going to talk to Howie about his feelings, make it into a song.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, we love you always.
Everything I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
Is it time yet?
It's time.
Come start time for dinner.
Oh, terrific.
Donating pet food is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
You can now watch MNN, Brick TV, QPTV, and SIC TV on BronxNet. Tune in to BX Omni, Channel 67 Optimum, 2133 Fios during most Sunday evenings. We'll show you some amazing content from our friends at Manhattan Neighborhood Network, Brick TV in Brooklyn, Queens Public Television, and Staten Island Community Television. Every borough represented in the Boogie Down. Epic partnerships for the ages. And catch our new Next channel, produced in partnership with MNN, 24/7 on BronxNet Channel 952 Optimum and 2138 Fios.
Welcome back. Right before Thanksgiving week, there were various events happening around our borough in the spirit of Thanksgiving, whether it was giving out food or just having people come together to help those in need. And our reporters and videographers were there to capture it all. Let's take a look.
The NYPD 41st Precinct, Phipps Houses, and Councilmember Rafael Salamanca Jr. distributed 300 turkeys to the surrounding community. Seeing that there is a need for resources, the NYPD and district leaders decided to be a helping hand this Thanksgiving.
So today we're partnering, my office is partnering with the 401 Precinct and Phipps Houses, and we're distributing 300 turkeys to the residents in the South Bronx. This is my 7th event that I've hosted as a council member with the 401 Precinct in the last 7 years. And basically, look, it's just an honor to give back to the community.
Today is a great day. We're celebrating with Councilmember Rafael Salamanca and the 41st Precinct and the Precinct Council and residents of this community to celebrate early celebration of Thanksgiving by giving away turkeys. My expectation is thanks and giving. Those are the two big words. I'm thankful and we're giving.
Some may say that the pandemic is over, but the effects of it are still present in these neighborhoods. Resources are scarce, prices are going up, and people are now in need more than ever.
With food insecurity, it's important to support our neighborhoods, and Phipps Houses is here to support our community by giving out turkeys.
And I am proud that my community and my precinct work together. And it's a pleasure that people could come out and see what our work is about, the community.
So you see, Thanksgiving is not just about stuffing your face and gaining weight. It's about love, community, and giving back. For BronxNet, this is Kyrie Moody.
As Thanksgiving nears, Bronxborough President Vanessa L. Gibson joined Hot 97, Eat Clean Bro, and other elected leaders for a turkey and fixings distribution at Tracy Towers.
This is a time of giving, and it's a time of, while it's a celebration, we know that there are many families that are rent burdened, that are struggling for basic necessities. So we want to do our part, and that is our responsibility to make sure that we use our blessings to bless others.
With the goal of combating high rates of hunger in the Bronx, New York State Senator Jamal Bailey shares how he hopes the event creates a positive holiday season for families.
That turkey with the fillings and the sides and the stuffing and everything like that, right? That can make a family happy. And if that family's happy, that makes a floor happy. And if that floor's happy, the building's happy, and so on and so forth. So it's a connecting community, a domino effect of positivity. And we're hoping to be the first domino today.
While tenants were excited about receiving turkey and fixings, there was also an overwhelming excitement to have talent from Hot 97 on site helping the community. For Titi Torres, Laura Stiles, and Ebro, the event is all about letting residents feel seen and offsetting some of the economic hardships that come with preparing for Thanksgiving.
As someone who was born in the Bronx, this makes me feel amazing to be able to come to Tracy Towers and give back to the community and to be able to lift some spirits during this holiday season. We know inflation is through the roof. Gas prices are crazy. Grocery bills are up tremendously. We understand how food insecurity impacts many, many people in the area. So we just want to do our part and donate as much as we can.
Everything is so expensive right now. It just feels really good to be able to at least relieve families from that debt of Thanksgiving dinner. It's expensive, honey, you know.
Hopefully people feel loved, man, and supported and appreciated during tough times. You know what I mean? And hopefully, people don't feel invisible. They feel seen and cared for. So that's what we really hope this is about.
As longtime residents of Tracy Towers, Shink Scott and Cynthia O'Neill Riley talk about the impact this will have on other residents, especially since the start of COVID.
To watch the smiles on their faces.
Yes.
And to watch the children that you know that they are going to be able to enjoy the like they say, the Friendsgivings of Thanksgiving is and the families to be able to be together, because we know what they lost during COVID.
It's very important, as you know, for us to have good nutrition. So I, for one, appreciate them bringing the turkeys to Tracy Towers. And this will ensure that families will have a Thanksgiving.
As part of this year's Turkey and Fixings giveaway, over 200 turkeys were given out to Bronx residents here at Tracy Towers, making sure that families are fed this Thanksgiving season. Reporting for BronxNet, Jonathan Calixto.
Bronx Cranksgiving was held at Brook Park this year, and it's a food drive on two wheels that is part scavenger hunt and part bike ride. Participants receive a manifest with ride instructions, choosing their route, stopping at different markets in various neighborhoods, looking for specific food items, and then racing to finish by the designated time. Head coordinator Edmundo tells us all about it.
So it started in 1999 by New York City bike messengers, and in 2016, myself and others were able to bring it to the Bronx. And currently this year alone, it's at over 73 locations around the globe.
How did you get the word out?
We use social media, just good old-fashioned community organizing and outreach. People participate, they hear about it, they see photos, and they want to come out. And it's like riding bike, giving back to your community. And just it's just a great feeling on a great day.
So many different types of bikes, and sometimes repairs are necessary. Outdoor Apparel REI's bike repairman Nick Protan tells us about how he brings bikes back to life.
I work for REI, which is an outdoor co-op. We're on Long Island in Carl Place. And we're here helping out with Cranksgiving today, just trying to do some bike repairs, get the bikes back on the road. We have a full-service bike shop out there on Long Island. Unfortunately, there's no REI in this area right now. But yeah, just helping out.
Can you tell us what consists of the bike checks and what do you look for?
It's a little bit of everything. These bikes come from all walks of life, some in some disrepair and others that are in quite good shape. So it's just a little bit of everything, basically just asking people what their problems are.
We wanted to get the scoop on how riders prepare for this event, and we spoke to local resident Daniel Shea, who tells us about what this event means to him.
It's been
a lot of fun being able to get out on the bike and try to help the community, try to enjoy the outdoors, but also gather food and materials for people that are less fortunate. So I'm always happy to participate a couple of years in a row now, so it's a lot of fun.
So if you're interested in learning more about this drive, you can visit their website at Bronx Cranksgiving, or you can visit their Instagram. 4 wheels move the body, 2 wheels move the soul. Reporting for BronxNet, Chanel Thompson.
Fresh Direct, City Harvest, and other elected officials come together to distribute 600 turkeys to the surrounding community.
Fresh Direct donated the turkeys while City Harvest and elected officials provided other foods that go on the Thanksgiving table.
Fresh Direct moved to the Bronx, and part of that move was that the company made a commitment to be an excellent community partner. And thanks to our friends at City Harvest, our local elected officials, we're here tonight in the Concourse Village area of the Bronx, donating food, turkeys, and more to the local community.
We do that every year. We purchase turkeys to distribute all around the city. We partner with close to 400 soup kitchens and food pantries to try to support them before Thanksgiving.
Our beloved Assemblywoman Chantel Jackson and Councilmember Althea Stevens recognize the increase in families that are in need.
There's a need, clearly, and people wouldn't stand out here in the cold if it wasn't a need. So we're happy that we can provide that need. And the other part is that we know that Thursday will come and the families will have food that they didn't have to, scrape together to prepare.
Well, I want to just start off by saying Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday because Thanksgiving is about reflecting and being thankful for what you have for the year. And so this is my first year as city council member in office and representing District 16, I'm just happy that I'm able to share this with my constituents and the community to make sure that they also have beautiful and amazing Thanksgivings as well.
So as you can see behind me, there are 100 people lined up for free turkeys. And the hope is that everyone have a safe and healthy Thanksgiving. For BronxNet, this is Kyrie Moody. Happy Thanksgiving.
I want to give a special thank you to our BronxNet team. We'll be right back with more Open right after this.
Kids!
I don't want to talk about it.
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 Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency.
Kids, you all right?
This family's prepared. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan. Go to nyc.gov/readyny or call 311 for more information.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, mijo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how sketch is me? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You didn't even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, Backpack Kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
To the left. To the right. Let's go.
Honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Welcome back. A few months ago, when the overturning of Roe v. Wade happened, many within the LGBTQ plus community were worried on what this could mean for their rights in the upcoming future. Then on November 16th, the Senate voted on a bill that will open up a debate that would codify federal protections for same-sex marriage. Dr. Gloria Pope, Director of Academic Enrichment for Destination Tomorrow, joined me to discuss what this means for the LGBTQ plus community. Doctor, thank you so much for joining me.
Good morning. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Now, can you just let everybody know a little bit more about your organization, Destination Tomorrow?
Well, Destination Tomorrow is based here in the Bronx. We have multiple offices. Our key office is on 149th Street. We are the LGBTQI plus enrichment center in a way, because we are actually a place where youth can come. We provide a number of services, including housing, as well as social services, mental health, HIV testing, and a number of other things for the community that we service. We also have a COVID disparities plan where we work with our other organizations to support other health awareness issues in the community. So for my department, Educational Enrichment, we do a number of things from job readiness to the NADP program, GED prep, and financial literacy. So DT does a lot.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that. Now, today we're going to be talking about same-sex marriage and the threats that could be, happening for many people in the LGBTQ plus community. So I want to just start off by saying that a right to same-sex marriage was established by Obergefell v. Hodges in 2015. Now, I think understanding history is just important in general to know where we're going in the future. So can you just talk a little bit more, just about the history behind that?
Well, for our community, same-sex marriage was always been a big thing, because marriage comes with so many different rights in our country. That's the base of the families, the base of a lot of our systems when it comes down to medical insurance and a lot of other things. Even basic family planning is really affected by the concept of marriage. So in 2015, once it became legalized, it opened up an avenue for so many different families to solidify themselves with here in this country, to get access to simple things as health insurance, or access to simple things as being on the birth certificate of your child that you created together. So same-sex marriage has been a huge aspect for our community, and it's something that's definitely needed because we deserve to have that right.
Now, I'm so glad, and this is the reason why I love having these interviews, because prior to this, when I think of marriage, I just think, oh, it's about love. But there are, like you mentioned just now, there are so many benefits and there are just so many, important things that come with marriage. So thank you so much for sharing that and just expanding, to people who don't know the meaning, or the benefits that can come with marriage. Now, can you talk about the threat same-sex marriage is currently facing?
Well, ultimately, as a result of Roe versus Wade, we're seeing that years and years of advocacy and community work has been thrown away, ultimately, right? And people's rights and opportunities are just being subjected to the views of particular individuals versus their own personal needs. And as we go through history, we realize that once you have such a large scale change, it can be a real snowball effect where other things can be affected. So same-sex marriage is one of the first things that came up, as well as simple as IVF, as people creating families. And that definitely affects the queer community more than most. So, right now the risks are just taking away our right to have access. And access is going to be a key word I'm going to say a lot during this, because, of course, marriage is about love, but marriage provides access to so many different things in a lot of different ways.
Now, I want to just add quickly, were you at all surprised to see that we're in this place now? Because I have seen people online say, after Roe v. Wade and seeing what happened with that a lot of things were going to happen next. Were you surprised at all to see that we're in this situation right now?
No, not at all. This country, unfortunately, is known for such a thing. We make certain decisions that cause transition. right? Because everything can happen, because everything that we do has a result that's going to come after. There's consequences for all of our behaviors, whatever they may be. And these are kind of some of the consequences that we're going to face as a community, that certain individuals are going to feel more empowered to take away even more rights from individuals. Let's look at the fact that women didn't even have the right to vote forever, it seems like. We were definitely in the 20th century before we were even able to have a choice. People of color didn't have access to a lot of things until the civil rights movements until the 60s, but they were here for centuries. So this country has always been delayed when it came to basic human rights. So I'm not surprised that we're all, especially in my community, are really up in arms about what possible can happen for us as we move forward with the next few years.
Now, as I mentioned previously, that there are some efforts being taken to help codify same-sex marriage. So far, several Republicans have supported efforts to pass legislation, again, that could potentially codify same-sex marriage, and they currently need 10 more Republicans to support the bill. Can you first just tell me your thoughts on this?
Well, codifying, definitely for people who don't understand that word, is a very complex word for some of us. It just basically means making something into a law, making it solidified as federal law in this country. And it's a bill that we all need to have the support of, is because why, especially for, let's leave myself an example. I've been married to my wife now for 6.5 years. And with these types of rulings, what is that going to say? That tomorrow, all of a sudden, we're not married anymore? All of a sudden, my name who's on my daughter's birth certificate won't necessarily count anymore. There's so much at risk. So supporting this bill is important because the queer community is also rebuilding family foundations, and strong families, two-parent homes are essential to the growth of our nation overall. And we should not be so subject to what those families look like.
Now, I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I want to bring up something that I read in Vox. Now, this bill would repeal the 1996 Defense of Marriage Act, which previously defined marriage as a legal union between a man and a woman, and it would also force states to recognize same-sex marriage and even interracial marriages. So as you mentioned, like the idea of family and what that looks like is changing. Can you just talk about how, what we're seeing in society today, this is not just about the LGBT community alone. Although it is affecting that community, this is something that is, I would say, like just a humanity problem that we're seeing just in general. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, definitely. Everything is about everybody, because once you make one decision to change somebody's rights or what they can do, what they cannot do, it's going to affect others. Because who's to say that all of a sudden, interracial marriages can't work? No, marriages across cultures can't work. Marriages to anyone can't work. You can't marry somebody from a different country. So it can affect so many different people, because then you're sitting there, now we're all subject to personal opinion versus this basic human rights for everybody. So yes, it's clear, especially when it comes to things of interracial marriage, because this country is definitely racially driven. It always has been. So how can we sit here and not think that they may come for that next? Because remember, interracial marriage wasn't legal for a long time either. That took a long time to pass. So who knows if they might reject that as well. So everybody at this point in time should start advocating for keeping this, because it can just spiral to other things.
Now, I want to talk about, Roe v. Wade. Just again, if same-sex marriage saw a similar outcome to that, what could this mean for people in LGBT communities?
Fear, because there is no clear answer. We don't know what ultimately that will look like. The thing about Roe versus Wade, you still have states who are okay. I'm a proud New Yorker. I'm proud, taxes and all. I'm happy to live in the state that I live because it's so liberal, and I feel safe here with my basic human rights here in this state. But with certain shifts of this country, we don't know what can possibly happen. We don't know if all of a sudden it nullifies my wedding, it nullifies my legal binding marriage, right? It nullifies my children, it nullifies my family situation, it nullifies my situation for when I go, if I leave my partner here, as she may not have the legal access to my Social Security to take care of our family. So it's the longevity, the long game that really matters, because, we're legally married because we wanted to sit here and have a strong foundation and, create generational wealth. And this bond that we have that's legal currently in this country provides that access. But taking that away, it can leave my children and my grandchildren destitute.
Now, you talked a little bit about, being from New York and, feeling safe here. And I know that a lot of women, when Roe v. Wade happened, kind of felt similar. Do you think New Yorkers should get too comfortable just because, maybe we're protected? Or do you think New Yorkers should also, stand up and advocate and be aware about what's happening in in different states?
Well, first of all, New Yorkers need to stand up and stand proud. We're the loudest people alive, and we need to stand up and advocate for others. We're strong. We're definitely New York strong. I go with it 1000% that we are here and we can really show how we are able to build up our state and support people and still give them basic human rights, right? Even when it comes down to basic stuff about how much people are actually physically making to survive, like income based, right? Because there's still states who don't have a minimum wage where people still can't survive. $7, it doesn't matter. Your cost of living is clear where we are here too. So it's just like there's so many examples of the state and how we do things and that we succeed and that people can have a good way of living here. So yeah, I don't think that we should sit here in our little bubble. No, I'm not a bubble person. Let's stand on the rooftops and let's rap and sit here and advocate for other states to kind of join us and align with our brothers and our sisters who are at more risk in some of these states that they call their home.
Now, if this bill passes protecting the right to same-sex marriage, what message could that be sending to LGBT communities? I just want to add that I think it's good that people are thinking like, you know what, let's get ahead of this now. So, if LGBT communities, have the right to same-sex marriage and that's protected, what message could that be sending?
Well, ultimately, it's going to send the message that somebody cares about us. We fought really hard for many years, from Stonewall, for our rights, to be seen. Let's not even go back to the health crisis of the AIDS epidemic that happened back in the 80s. And that's because the 80s is not even that long ago. It's only 40 years ago that we were sitting here asking for medical treatment, right? For our gay and our queer people who were experiencing AIDS during that time. So it's like for us, I just feel as if it's really just important that we just have access to certain things, and this legislation being legal would give us this level of security that's so important, because who doesn't want to feel safe in a place that you live, a place that you that you thrive, a place that you support and that you honestly pay taxes to? Because let's not even get into what the queer dollar looks like. We're $1 trillion group of people. There's a lot of money that comes directly from us. We buy homes, we open businesses. So why should we not get the same supports as everybody else?
Now, and also, can you just quickly explain how people, if they want to be more informed, where could they quickly go just to learn more about it?
Well, definitely you can come over to Destination Tomorrow at 149th Street. We are big on our advocacy piece and how you can actually support these different legislations. We're really lobbying for a lot of different things. Sean Coleman, our CEO, is great and really focused on how DT can be a centralized space across this country for individuals to find out information about the queer community and how you can support. There's also a number of websites that you can look at, and you can check out our website, destinationtomorrow.org, and you can find information there as well.
All right, Doctor, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
We've come to the end of our show today. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us and you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recable cast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum Channel 67 and Verizon Fios Channel 33, or watch anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. I'm wishing you and yours safety and wellness now and always. See you next time.